listening to OmniTalk's Retail Fast 5, brought to you in partnership with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group, Firework, Avalara, TGW, and Sezzle. Ranked in the top 10% of all podcasts globally, the OmniTalk Fast 5 is the podcast that we hope makes you feel a little smarter, but most importantly, a little happier each week, too. Today is October 4th, 2023. I'm your host, Ann Mazinga.
And I'm Chris Walton.
And we are here once again, live from the NACS
Live from NACS.
In Atlanta to discuss the most important headlines from the past week that highlight how the physical, digital, and human elements of retail are coming together to shape the future. Chris.
Yes,
Did you notice anything new about me or something I read?
I noticed a couple things. Like, in addition to being at NACS, which sounds like a big motor race kind of thing.
You got to move
like,
the microphone away from your face.
Move the microphone down.
NACS.
NACS. Come to NACS. But anyway, we're at NACS. But yes, we have new sponsors.
Yes.
TGW.
We'd like to welcome Avalara and TGW to the OmniTalk retail family.
Big supporters of ours. Thank you to them. And I'm excited too, Ann, because we're going to have Mr. George Trantis, the Senior Director of Global Marketplaces. He's going to join us in a couple weeks
on
five insightful minutes.
Yeah.
He's going to give us 5 insightful minutes on a very cool topic, folks, friends and family of OmniTalk. He's going to give us 5 insightful minutes on the 10 common mistakes retailers make when it comes to tax filing time. I can't wait for that. It's going to be a blast.
I also need like a personal assessment from Mr. George Trantis on what mistakes I'm also
personal
making.
Tax filing? Yes.
We'll see.
That might be beyond help, Ann, I think, for both of us.
We'll see if he has enough time. We also, Chris, need to give a special shout out. We got the most sweet and warm message from Justin
warm
Lyons.
Fuzzies.
Yeah, down here in Atlanta at the Home Depot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. He's from Home Depot.
He left us this note. Justin said, I just want to say thanks for the quality of discussion on the OmniTalk podcast. I literally start my day with a long walk while listening to you and Chris.
Obviously, Justin's only listened to like 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just kidding. But thank you, Justin.
That long walk. You can do 2x speed, too.
Yeah,
if we're too much to handle on the long walk. But Justin wanted to tell us that he appreciates everything we've done for the retail industry and for sharing our experiences.
Yeah, no, that's super nice. And thank you for recognizing that we try really hard, Justin. We put a lot of effort into this every week, and it really warms our hearts, honestly, when we get notes like that. So thank you so much. And are you ready to do this? We're going to do this live from the show.
Yes.
We got the registration behind us. We got people flowing through. They're coming on by. We're
still standing after, being on the road for, what are we, like day 6 or something?
Yeah, we got here we were in Nashville on Saturday, right?
Yes.
So
which I love, by the way.
Yeah, Nashville's a cool city. It is a cool city.
Nashville.
I didn't get to see it because I was sick again. For all those that know me so well, I was sick, stuck in my hotel room again. But hey, I'm here now. I'm back upright, and I'm feeling good. Let's do this.
Let's do it. All right.
All right. In today's Fast Five, we've got news on Walmart removing its self-checkout lanes from its New Mexico stores, Gelson's new store format, which puts EV charging front and center, Macy's declaration this week that it will open as many as 30 small format stores. I know Ann can't wait to talk about that one.
Oh, boy.
What we're calling the curious case of Walgreens versus cooler screens. But we begin today with big partnership news out of Lululemon and Peloton. Ann, I know you've got a lot to say about this one.
I mean, I don't have a ton to say, but I'm pretty excited to talk about it, I have to say. All right, headline number 1, Chris. Lululemon and Peloton are teaming up. This came right in last week under the wire. According to Bloomberg, Lululemon will make co-branded clothing that Peloton will sell on its website and at retail stores.
Yes.
And Peloton's fitness content will now be offered to users of the Lululemon Studio Mirror and via Lululemon's free digital app. At the same time, Lululemon is also discontinuing its relatively new digital-only subscription that costs $12.99 a month and plans to push users toward the Peloton app as part of the arrangement. Now, Chris,
fascinating.
Before I opine on my thoughts,
you opine,
what would you like to say? What would you like to say about the Peloton Lululemon partnership?
Oh man, let's see. I'm dying to hear what you have to say, but for me, I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move for both parties, and it's probably spurred on by the fact that Lululemon clearly got burned with Mirror, like clearly. And so I think it's smart because it's just a partnership.
Yes.
Which we as entrepreneurs talk all the time. We're always like, don't get into something you can't get out of unless you absolutely are sure that you want to do it. And so partnerships are great for that reason. So, Peloton, let's see who gets what, right? Peloton, they get legitimacy in apparel immediately. And Lululemon gets legitimacy in online fitness, which, as you've seen, is hard for them to do. And I think it's smart that they're not charging for the subscription anymore. I think that's an interesting move.
Right.
And so the two can see where it goes. And maybe a merger isn't out of the cards down the line. It's still possible. And the other thing my hunch is it probably locks Peloton out from doing anything with Nike as well. I'm guessing that's part of the deal.
Wouldn't be surprised,
or potentially with any other shooters too. So for that reason, I think it's also smart. But what do you think? You seem a little skeptical in some of my opinions there.
No, I think
threw me a shady eye.
I think people are getting a little too aggressive with the merger. Like they just started dating people. Let's not start talking about the wedding moms. Okay, like let's just let them feel it out.
It's not a shotgun wedding.
See how it feels. No. So my thoughts here. Number one, Lululemon got the best end of this deal. For one, they're getting rid of Mirror. They're offloading Mirror, which is going to be a big hit to their business. Yeah. But they're getting all of the Peloton people now in Lululemon product. Yeah. They're going to be able to offload the content arm. Unfortunately, they had to lay off like 120 employees that were working on Lululemon Studio, which is never a good thing. But
it's a great stopgap.
But they can cut this, get it out, get that out of their history, forget all about it, burn it like Taylor Swift does her boyfriends.
Wipe the mirror clean.
Right. Wipe the mirror clean and move on. And now they don't have to upset any of those customers that paid $2,000 plus for their mirror. And then for Peloton, I think this is just a Band-Aid. However, I think that this is not going to be. I don't think there's going to be something there that makes sense for a merger when it comes to Lululemon. They might be getting some new subscribers out of the deal, but I think if we look under the covers and see how many people were really participating in Lululemon Studio, I don't think it's as many as Peloton might think that they could be getting in the long run.
Well, yeah, I imagine they had to disclose all that information too, but I think you're right. Like, there's probably not much on that side of things. I'm curious if there aren't warrants involved here too. Like, certain things happen, they get the right to maybe buy stock in Peloton or maybe acquire Peloton. Who knows? But so you're kind of like, it's not. It's cool, but it's not that cool. That's kind of your take here.
Yeah, great for Lululemon. Peloton, meh. It'll be good for you for the next 5 years. We'll see how it goes.
It's like vanilla.
I have a feeling Peloton could be waiting for that ring for a very long time. Yeah. And Lululemon's like, boy, bye. I found a new.
Bye.
Yeah, boy, bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Headline number 2. Walmart is pulling self-checkout out of 3 stores in Albuquerque, and the only city I know of with 2 queues.
Yeah, I guess
Think about that one for a second. All right. According to Business Insider, 2 stores in Albuquerque, New Mexico were recently renovated to replace their self-checkout lanes, and changes to a 3rd area store are also slated to be finished in October. Walmart declined to tell Business Insider whether similar redesigns were underway at other U.S. locations, but the company did say there is no plan for the widespread removal of self-checkout lanes at this time. And why in the world would you think that Walmart would want to do this, to try this, to test this? What is Walmart thinking?
It's very simple, Chris.
I think it is too.
I mean,
go
you
ahead.
and I have talked about this.
Yes.
It's theft. I mean,
theft?
You and I, just at grocery
theft
shop.
or shrink? Or both?
I mean, both. Okay. I think. You and I have seen video footage of what happens at these checkout lanes, and it's not the people that you would expect, Like, this is happening from grandma running grandma's daycare center, putting items in front of other items to scan them and put them in the bags. Like, there's so much happening here that I think, unfortunately, is going to make things that are convenient for the majority of consumers who are not stealing or not trying to play games at checkout, like, that they're going to lose this convenient option. So and the other part of it too is, like, even the videos, like, you can't really do anything outside of, like, know that these people are repeat offenders. I mean, the employees are not going to go after these people. Like, I think it's getting back to this idea of no one has a solution yet. Right. So everybody's going back to basics.
Right.
It's like what happened during the pandemic. Like, we're going to have to write down grocery orders by hand and deliver them. I guess we're going to have to do this until we figure out a better tech solution.
We're gonna have to go back to people.
Right.
So the greed is people, Ed. We got to go back to people. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's both too. I think it's 100% shrink,
Yes.
and it's probably a lot of theft,
Yeah.
whether accidental or intentional, because we just know throughout the grocery industry that self-checkout is prone for that type of activity to happen,
Right.
where there's just miscalculations of what's going through those spaces. So the funny thing about it to me too, if I put my retailer hat on too, Ann, is it's like it's a total retailer playbook on how they're doing this. Like you've
Why?
got, because I mean it's a number one example. Like they take a total market approach, they test it out, they assess the impact operationally, and then they decide what to do next. That's what Walmart's doing here.
Which is nothing wrong.
They said, let's pick a high shrink market, my hunch, Albuquerque, and let's figure this out. No, there's nothing wrong
Right,
with that.
that's-
But you can tell that's what they're doing.
Right.
Like it's a telegraph move. So I can't wait to see what Walmart learns from this. Like your question is great. Like, are these stores more profitable with humans manning the tills? I mean, that's a mind-blowing question that I don't think anyone really understands or knows the answer to. And the answer to it, if it's yes, could actually be earth-shattering.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
because
God.
given what we've heard, like I said before, this happens a lot. There's a lot of shrink that's coming through these machines. So it's possible that could be the answer, or it could at least be the answer in certain stores, in certain locations.
Right.
And then you get back to the whole shrink format idea posited by Dollar General a few weeks ago, where you're like, okay, yeah, we're going to have stores that are shrink formats, which
Yeah.
means no self-checkout machines.
Well, and this is also happening with people in the checkout lanes. Like there's
Yeah,
still
no.
like there's still
Yeah, it's just not as
sweethearting
bad,
and all the other
you
things
know?
that's happening. It's not
Yeah.
as bad, but I think ultimately it gets down to what tech can grocers invest in, and when does theft and shrink rise to the top of the priority list of how we're going to run the business and where we're going to invest those dollars.
Yeah, but I think when you get back to, like, when you think about the pandemic and how it's gone up, the increase in self-checkout as a proportion of how people are using their average grocery store or their average supercenter is definitely higher than it was. So, if you go back, in theory, that number should go down. It's just a question of whether it's worth the trade-off of the staffing, right? So
Right. All right, let's move on to headline number 3, Chris. Supermarket chain Gelson's has launched a new convenience store
Yes, it
format.
has.
Apropos, given we're at the National Association.
where are we
of
at? We're at where?
Convenience-
Where?
The National.
Nax.
Oh, it's like a buzzer in my ear. It's terrible. All right. Back to Gelson's new convenience store
Yes.
format. According to Chain Store Age, the specialty grocer, which operates 27 stores throughout Southern California, they will debut a new concept called Recharge by Gelson's. Gelson's is partnering with electric vehicle charging station developer Rove to provide food and beverage services at its new charging stations, and will offer a curated selection of foods, beverages, and convenience items like we are
how
seeing
many times have we read that on this thing?
behind us.
A selection of foods, beverages, and convenience items. I think
Yes.
that's every new store format.
Yes, for those Rove customers as well as neighborhood locals. So Rove plans to build 6 locations in Southern California beginning this year, with 20 stations
Wow.
planned by 2026.
Yeah.
Back to your right market for testing.
Yeah,
this
right.
Being Southern California, what do you think about this move from Gelson's, Chris?
I think it's really interesting. Like, have you been to a Gelson's?
No.
See, I had not either, and the only time I'd ever been exposed to one was on, I think, Curb Your Enthusiasm with Larry David. And I went to one, though, in San Clemente.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, not
San Clemente.
Not San Clemente. Not technically San Clemente, but whatever the town is right below there that's escaping me. Newport.
Laguna
Hills, whatever. I don't know, but I can't remember. One of those other much more. The reason I say that, it's very posh. Wherever it was very
You're
posh.
going to need to know that as
Yeah.
a resident. You're
San
going
Clemente?
to need to know that.
Yes, right. I got to start saying it right. But anyway, so it's a very posh place. It's very high end. It's
Yes.
a baller store. Like, it is a great
Yeah.
store. It's one you want to shop. It's very inspirational. And so, like, it's a perfect match, I think, to be the first mover on this from an EV charging front, because it's going to match up demographically there. And so what you have here is essentially the reimagining of the gas station experience, which is what I love, because that's what we're talking about. It's reimagining the gas station, which is different than what we know before, because EV charging, for those that don't know, takes longer to do. It requires a longer trip. So it's made for that grocery store type of experience or grocery store type of trip.
Yeah.
So it's smart for Gelson's, particularly given the demographic, to go into this space in the way they are. So I love it. I can't wait to try it out. The only thing I got to get an electric vehicle, and I think OmniTalk needs to procure Mr. Walton electric vehicle.
Like the minivan you saw yesterday. Chris was like, "Is that
that was a hybrid, though?
What kind of van is that?" Just because it was a hybrid minivan, it's still a minivan, Chris. Is that an SUV?
Call a spade. It's still a minivan.
No. You just are really in love with the dad van. That's all.
It was a Toyota Sienna, and it was awesome.
Oh my God.
But what do you think?
So I think again, you look to London and to the UK and to Europe and what they're doing there, because they're already doing these kinds of things there. When I was at Shop Talk Europe, I interviewed.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Tracy Clemens, the CEO of Convenience for BP, and she was talking about this, how they're already starting to convert stores into EV charging stations, and how they already have a partnership with Marks and Spencer's, another like higher end food provider in the UK, and they are continuing to expand that assortment to allow for the types of trips that you're charging. It's no longer an impromptu 3 to 5 minute gas fill up and your Cokes and smokes and you're out of there.
Right.
It's now I'm planning this ahead of time.
100%.
I am reserving an EV charging station along my path wherever I'm going. Now they're starting to get into food offerings, which we're hearing a ton about at NACS. Like everybody going in as tobacco sales go down, now they have to figure out how to save that basket, and they're going into food. So it's a lot
prepared food, like fresh prepared food.
Yes. So it's a lot of what we're seeing happening already in the UK, and I think will have to come as we see more and more EV drivers come through.
So you like this? You love it?
Oh, I think it was.
We got to try it out.
I know.
We got to go see it. I can't wait to go.
Maybe we'll get a rental.
Maybe Retail West. Hopefully this is open by Retail West. Retail West. Hopefully by then it's open. But
doesn't matter.
All right, let's keep rolling, because these next two headlines are also pretty banger headlines. All right, headline number 4. Macy's says it will open up to, Ann, not up to 30 small store formats inside of strip malls. They said that those two words together, strip malls, over the next 2 years. According to CNBC's great Melissa Repko, Macy's has tested the shops, which are roughly 1/5 the size of its traditional mall stores, for nearly 4 years. Yeah, it's been 4 years. Wow. The stores offer a slimmed down mix of merchandise, host local events, and have a more modern and open look. Plus, they're also next to big box stores, grocers, and popular off-price retailers like TJX, aka places that offer a high level of convenience, which Macy's chief stores officer Mark Mastronati calls the, quote, secret sauce of this initiative.
Oh boy.
And here's the other thing. I read this deep in the headline. They will also be called Macy's, as Macy's says it plans to phase out the Market by Macy's moniker it used for its first smaller store formats throughout the country. So, Ann, do you think Macy's is onto something here? Like, do they have a secret sauce of convenience of strip malls?
You know,
and this is an easy thing to poo-poo, but I'm curious what you think.
I was digging in to try to make sense of this, Chris, because I met Mark Mastrodani at Shop Talk. Last year. He was on stage right after. And smart guy. Like, I get there's got to be something to us.
He's Italian. I mean, come on.
One of our people.
Yeah.
So the first thing that came to mind was like, yes, I guess you have real estate savings. Like your footprint's smaller, so perhaps
per box,
like perhaps you're getting money from the smaller footprint. But what really confuses me here, we've been to the market at Macy's in Texas, in South Lake. They're not solving any of the core problems with this move. And so it really concerns me when you talk about Macy's and this like North Star that they've always been trying to go to, and really for the place that Macy's holds as like kind of the company that will determine the future of the department store. Like everything's following in Macy's footsteps. And I just don't think that this is going to turn out the way that they think it is. And the other part of this is the TJ Maxx adjacency. That really confused me too.
Yes.
Because at least when I go into a TJ Maxx, like I know it's going to be a total mess and a treasure hunt, and like stuff's going to be on the floor. When you go into Macy's, like that was my biggest takeaway from that market at Macy's. Like I'm still expecting a department store experience, and it was just crammed with inventory. Like stuff piled all over the place. Like, yes, it looks great at the opening, but it's just, it wasn't, they're trying to put too much into that small footprint. And I really just wonder if this is going to move the needle for Macy's the way that they want to. It doesn't seem like there's hope there for me.
That's a really interesting question that you're getting at too. Is like even if you're gonna do it, like should you even call it Macy's at all?
Right.
Like because if it's a great idea, it should be a great idea regardless.
Well,
and
like
now you're actually leaning into Macy's and creating that psychological
Yes.
connection with what you think a department store should actually be, but now it's in a smaller box. That's a fascinating
or
question.
like the
Keep going.
backstage, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
then you do just make it backstage, and it's all the
Right.
the leftover inventory
Right.
from last season that Macy's started doing in their own stores. It's getting a lot of traction. I mean, that's doing well for Macy's, but
Right.
like, is it? Again, I don't see the benefit that going into a strip mall is going to provide, especially for Macy's.
For the longer term with
Yeah.
the current store base. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and those are all awesome points. And I don't even know where to start with this. I tried to like boil down my thoughts into I think 3 points.
Well, Lee Sherwood-Esmond is really excited for you.
Yeah. Oh, she is. Yeah. Shout out to Lee. Yeah. And I shared this a little bit on social media this morning, but I think when you look at this strategy and how it's being talked about right now, it's fraught with so many pitfalls. So first, one, they say that the stores are comping positively relative to the rest of the chain.
Yeah.
But I don't think that statistic is worth jack all, and that's a scientific term, jack all, because like they're going to be built in the best areas right now, and so they're going to have natural population growth, and there's so many things that go into determining comp, like how much more staff do you have in those stores than your regular Macy's, which we've been in them. I think they had more staff in that store, pound for pound.
Well, they're friendly
per square
That was
foot.
in the
Right,
press
they probably have
release.
their best staff.
They're more friendly.
The store regional teams are probably more focused on making sure that they work. So there's a whole host of things that go in there. So unless you know the actual profit of meeting the hurdle rate on the cost of capital for the smaller boxes, because the cost of capital is still a hurdle rate you got to hit, you don't know. Which brings me to my second point, and this I think is the most important point that I came up with last night for me is department stores are about volume. They're bigger boxes for a reason. Small formats aren't that, which means that Macy's is going to be competing on thinner margins than the specialty apparel retailers, which typically operate in those same boxes.
Right.
And it's going to be doing it with a larger preponderance of market available goods. So that kind of, in essence, flies in the face of what a department store is in its business model. So sure, they can go after private label, and they're doing that. There's articles in the news today. But if you go after private label, then that isn't really Macy's either, and Macy's isn't really known for private label. So you have to get over that hurdle too for this strategy to work. And so I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Every change to a business model has hidden costs, and I think there are hidden costs hidden in how we're talking about this business model that aren't quite visible yet, that are going to rear their ugly head in the long run. And third point is, like you said, what the hell does this do for the existing chain?
Nothing.
It does absolutely nothing.
It takes the focus away.
Yeah. But that said, I like it for Bloomingdale's because I don't think Bloomingdale's is as blanketed across the country. Now they still have some of the same business model challenges, but you can take that up market on the service angle and take your prices up. Because I worry that the only way out of this hole is for Macy's to inflate its prices. But then it's why would I shop there versus regular Macy's, or why would I shop at Macy's?
Why wouldn't you go to
versus anywhere
TJ
else?
Maxx next door, where I know what I'm going to get?
Exactly.
I know what kind of shopping experience I'm going to get, and the brands are probably more premium than what I'm going to get at Macy's.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on to headline number 5. Cooler Screens is suing Walgreens, Chris, for reneging on a contract to roll out its technology to 2,500 stores.
Whoa.
According to the Wall Street Journal, Cooler Screens, the company that embeds sensors and digital screens into cooler doors that are programmed to play targeted ads to shoppers who walk past it, that's a long sentence here, is suing the pharmacy chain, saying that Walgreens obstructed an agreed-upon nationwide rollout of the internet-connected doors and demanded their removal from all stores. Walgreens, meanwhile, says the technology from Cooler Screens just flat out didn't work. Didn't work. Chris, this is also the A&M put you on the spot.
Oh, yeah, we haven't had it yet, have we?
No.
All right.
A&M wants to know, is this breakup between Walgreens and Cooler Screens a one-off hiccup, or do you see this as indicative of a longer-term concern for digital merchandising screens and bringing retail media in store?
Ooh.
They're going to cut right to it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the latter. I think this is a warning sign. We've had Cooler Screens on the program before. I think we've interviewed them twice.
Yes.
And I remember talking to their CEO, Arson, at the time and saying to him, I have so many operational questions, but I want to keep those at bay because
it's a
it's an interesting concept. Yeah. It's an interesting concept. There's a lot here. There's a lot to digest. Because and here's the point. If you read the Wall Street Journal article, there's a lot of he said, she said on who's responsible for managing these screens and who owns what in terms of how the digital content shows up on those screens.
It's like a divorce.
It really is. It's like, you should have done this, you should have done that, blah, blah, blah. But like, here's the point. Managing these screens, I don't think people really understand this. Managing these screens is basically takes the same effort as running a website. Yeah. When you get right down to it. And in actuality, it's harder because you have to manage a website that is on all the time in a physical store. Mm-hmm. It has to work every time, all the time. And so then it comes to the question, like, when it breaks, who's in charge of fixing it? The store teams, the digital teams at headquarters, some third party that you're assigning this? Like, is Cooler Screens responsible for it? I don't know. But it's a lesson for me, which is why I think A&M's question is right, is like, if you're an executive and you're thinking about this, you've got to be really careful about the digital media hype because there's a lot to this. You don't want to, I don't think you want to be the first mover on this. You can test it for sure, but your testing period has to be longer because you're going to have to see how these things hold up in store. And more importantly, you're going to have to see how they hold up when your people turn over in their jobs. Right. Like, you're going to need to do them for like at least a year because you have to know that your people can scale them. You have the intellectual understanding of how they work, what's required for them to work, to make them work day in and day out. So the human element of here is something that's important. You can't set and forget these things at all. So that's my take. I think it's like running a website, Ann.
Yeah, and I agree, especially when you look at store labor these days. Like, you and I visited one of these in New York when we were there last summer. And do you remember, like, one of the screens was out and the
stores can't fix them,
and you open the door and there's no more inventory left. Like, there are clearly other things that Walgreens team members need to be focused on doing before getting to this and updating this technology. It's not impacting them at all whatsoever. It's not what they're being benchmarked on. And so I think that, let me start by saying, I hate when these things don't work because I don't think that it's not a good idea.
Right.
I think that what the problem probably was here is going from 0 stores or from a few pilot stores to 2,500 stores. Like, there has to be more incremental phases so that you can learn, to your point, how this is going to impact the overall store operations, what this means in terms of training, what this means in terms of, like, does Walgreens have their own pricing accurate and up to the minute so that it's reflected in these things? That was another thing that they were talking about wasn't right. That, like, Walgreens' price point wasn't, like, tied in effectively to this. And who's measuring and watching all this? Like you said, it's not set it and forget it. So I think, the last thing that I would add, we just talked to somebody about this here today, but I think that while digital media in store, to answer A&M's question, can have a lot of potential financial upside, you have to also be thinking about the other side of this, which is the brands too. Like, the data that's coming in, the brand information that's coming in.
That's something we haven't even talked about
Talking
yet.
About your website and how all the components of that. And the last bit that they complained about, what Walgreens did, was that we're not getting correct information from Cooler Screens. We can't. It's garbage in, garbage
data
out.
That we can't send to our brands.
The data we can't send. Our brands are already strapped. They can't handle the data that's good that we're sending them. So how are we going to make something of this investment when the brands are the ones that are supposed to be paying for these screens and for the stuff that's going on the screens? Like, the whole system needs to be realigned before they go out at 2,500 stores.
100%. And going back to the shrink conversation too, if shrink is the way it is in the store, and it's probably potentially less in a cooler, or, well, maybe not a cooler. Cooler might have high shrink in it. A freezer, maybe, yes. Yeah. But, like, a cooler...
Why is it colder to, like, put stuff in your sweatshirt?
Yeah, it's probably harder to steal.
Are you serious?
I would think so. I mean, I'm just guessing.
So was I.
But I think it's probably harder to do, or less desirable to do.
Sure.
You can't just eat that right away. You got to take that home and do something with it.
You got to thaw that pizza out.
But still, there's the data integrity problem. And so, like, with it being what it is, the chances of this type of thing working is really hard. Yeah. And so you're going to have to devote the people to figure it out. And so, like, my hunch too is, last point I'll make, Ann, my hunch is they had like one person at headquarters that was probably in charge of managing the equivalent of a website in store.
It's a bummer.
And if that's the case, executives out there, if that's how you're setting this up, watch out, because that should be your test that it's not going to work. Now, I have no idea if that's true, but I'm guessing it wasn't the amount of people that probably you want to put towards it because it's a new initiative. That's always the way new initiatives work.
Right. All right, Chris, let's go to the lightning round. Question number 1. Walmart is scrapping its requirements for a degree for some corporate jobs. I want to know, is there a job that you would have done if it didn't require a degree?
Oh, yeah, that's the easy one. This one's going to be a shout out to my buddy, Oven Bonsall.
Oh, yeah.
I would be a lawyer, but I'd be like the caveman lawyer from Saturday Night Live. I'm just a caveman. I didn't have a degree, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, God,
do you remember that skit?
No,
you don't remember
I don't.
that skit, Frozen Caveman Lawyer with Phil Hartman?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's so great. All right.
This is a little too old for me.
Oh, yeah, right. Here we go.
You're
we go.
You're aging out of the audience.
All right,
here.
Speaking of old, a woman is suing Disney for an, quote, injurious wedgie.
I've never heard that word before.
Injurious? Yeah, me neither. It's an injurious wedgie that she received at Disney's Typhoon Lagoon water park, which I also didn't know existed. What is the worst wedgie you have ever received? Inquiring minds want to know.
How do you get a wedgie at a water park? Like going down a slide
I think she must have caught it on something. And no, she got really hurt. It's actually not a funny story at all.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it's terrible. Terrible.
Oh, well, the first thing that comes to mind is mom jeans and the shorts. Like
mom jeans? They give you wedgies?
They're Levi's mom jean. The first one they came out with is called the wedgie.
Oh, my God.
And it definitely gives you the wedgie, especially around the holidays. If you've been you get packed those extra pounds in front. It's just I can't sit down. This is terrible.
Sounds awful. I thought the mom jean was supposed to give you more comfort. I thought it was about that. It's not?
Not all of them.
Wow.
Not
what
all of them.
Deceptive advertising. All right. Let's keep going.
All right. Toys R Us is opening 24 new flagship stores, and it is also opening in airports and on cruises, which I think is super smart. I love that move. Chris, I want to know, would you rather be stuck in the Atlanta airport for 48 hours with only one working bathroom on the opposite end of the airport from where you are, or stuck on a cruise ship out at sea for 14 days that has Margaritaville stuck on repeat 24/7?
Oh my God, that's like the lesser of two evils. I don't want to get on a diatribe about airport retail, which I've done before. I'm never a fan of seeing that when brands do that for the first time. I think it's a tell. But anyway, for me, I definitely would not want to be in one bathroom situation. That is never enough for me and for everyone else.
So you're going to go out to sea with Jimmy?
Yes, I'd rather be at sea with Jimmy for 2 weeks. That's 100% fine.
All right,
and last one. NASA scientists recently discovered a ravioli-shaped moon orbiting Saturn.
What kind of ravioli shape?
The standard rectangular.
There's not a standard. There's
puffy.
3 different. There's a moon-shaped ravioli. There's triangle, circle raviolis. How big?
Let your imagination walk. It's a moon. It's huge. I have no idea how big it is.
No, I mean how big is a ravioli?
It's orbiting a planet for
Oh my God, I know how big the moon is. I'm saying.
So my question for you is, because that question is actually completely academic to the question I'm going to ask you, is what is your favorite pasta to consume?
Oh, pappardelle. That's my favorite.
Pappardelle.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Wow.
So good. It's wide, fat, noodles that just...
Is that the twisted noodle?
No, it's like a fettuccine noodle, but 3 times the size. Like an oversized fettuccine noodle.
I don't like broad, flat noodles. I'm not a flat noodle guy. No. All right. Anything else?
A wet noodle? No.
A wet noodle. Yes, 1,000 lashes with a wet noodle to you and to me. All right, let's close this up. Happy birthday today to Dakota Johnson, Susan Sarandon, and the true share for all you Generation Xers out there, the one and only Alicia Silverstone. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail outlet in the business, make it OmniTalk, the retail media outlet run by 2 former executives, the only retail outlet run by 2 former executives from a current top 10 U.S. retailer. We take a lot of pride in that. Our Fast 5 podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice-weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content that we do exclusively for you. And we try really hard to all keep it in the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks, as always, for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube.
Or send it to us directly like Justin did.
Yeah. 100%.
We'll take them. We'll take them in our LinkedIn inboxes.
And we'll
DM
read them.
us. Yes.
Yes.
We'll take it.
Yeah, we just ran into Jolene Butner. She was here. She stopped us while we were just getting set up for this.
And Kevin Struthers.
Shout out to Kevin and Jolene. So yes, we will take them any way we can. We just love affirmation, and I think that's what you're saying. All right, so until next week, and on behalf of all of us at Omni Talk Retail, as always, be careful out there.
The Omni Talk Fast 5 is brought to you in association with the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. The A&M Consumer and Retail Group is a management consulting firm that tackles the most complex challenges and advances its clients, people, and communities toward their maximum potential. CRG brings the experience, tools, and operator-like pragmatism to help retailers and consumer products companies be on the right side of disruption. And Firework. Firework is the largest video commerce solution built for the world's leading brands. They empower brands with shoppable and live stream video on their own websites where people like to shop. Put your commerce in motion with Firework. You can find out more at firework.com. And Avalara. Avalara makes tax compliance faster, easier, more accurate, and more reliable for 30,000 plus business and government customers in over 90 countries. Avalara leverages 1,200 plus signed partner integrations to power tax calculations, document management, tax return filing, and tax content access. Visit avalara.com to improve your compliance journey. And TGW. Revolutionize your grocery supply chain with TGW. Their experts tailor automation solutions to your needs, ensuring that you have the edge. Work with TGW before your competition does. Discover more at tgw-group.com. And Sezzle. Sezzle is an innovative buy now, pay later solution that allows shoppers to split purchases into 4 interest-free payments over 6 weeks. To learn more, visit Sezzle.com.